Hey guys, in this video I'm going to talk about why sugar is bad for you and consistently tops weight gain foods. And stay to the end where I share how you can eat these foods while still being able to stay healthy. About a decade ago, Professor of Nutrition Mark Horb lost 27 pounds in 10 weeks, just under 2 stone. What was impressive about this achievement was for 10 weeks he ate nothing but Twinkies, Doritos and Oreos. Named the Twinkie diet, every 3 hours he would chow down the high sugar, high fat varieties. Yet, after 10 weeks, he had lost body fat and lowered his cholesterol. So what was his secret? Had he discovered a way to devour the things people love and not suffer the consequences? Well, not really. All he did was make sure he never went above 1,800 calories, which was 800 calories less than what he needed to maintain his current weight. Also, Mark had 2 things going for him. He was a professor of nutrition and he was intentionally sticking to a calorie deficit. For many, highly processed foods, especially sugary ones, is a constant thorn on the side of our intention to stay healthy and within a consistent weight. If I push 2 dishes out in front of you, each containing 300 calories, one dish was a chocolate glazed donut, the other dish was raw sugarcane, you have a minute for each dish and your task is to finish what you see on the dish. How do you think you would get on? My guess is that you would get the donut done within 30 seconds and the raw sugarcane you probably not have finished your first bite within the 60 seconds. Why is this? Well, the clue is in 2 factors we face on a modern day living: mass production of food and something called mismatch hypothesis. By understanding these 2 factors, you will go a long way to spotting your health hand grenades in our society. Let's start with the first one, mass production of food. So let me tell you some key times in the last 70 years. July 1954, food rationing finally ended in the UK. America fared better, ending theirs in 1945. 1950, domestic refrigerators started to become more affordable, with 30% more households having one by 1970s. The 1970s saw the emergence of high fructose corn syrup, which made the manufacture of processed food cheaper and easier. Now these dates are important because they highlight key periods that contributed to the changing way we eat our food. You see, back in the hunter-gatherer days, we didn't know where our next meal was coming from. We worked as a tribe. The men would go out for the long search of meat, and if they hit a bonus, high-calorie honey, the women would scour the grounds for grains and tubers. We worked together to ensure that we ate. This led to long periods where we didn't eat, but we knew what we were instinctively attracted to: foods that were salty, fatty, sweet, and umami, which is meaty. There is also bitter and sour, which would indicate not ideal for eating. After the agricultural revolution, where we started to be more rooted in one place, and during the industrial revolution, we began to have another form of eating known as hedonic eating, which simply meant eating for pleasure. Whereas in the hunter-gatherer days, we ate to survive. When food became more available, we began to eat simply for pleasure. And if there is a winning formula, surely it is right for taking advantage of. Well, you'd be correct, because food manufacturers are increasingly playing with the formula of fat, salt and sugar to prompt you to eat more. It is important to note sugar in itself does not cause weight gain. 100 calories of high sugar product is the same as 100 calories of a high protein food from a calorie perspective. The difference is, when you eat the 100 calories of high protein food, it will leave you reasonably satiated, whereas eat the 100 calories of a high sugar product and you can easily leave you wanting more. And that's the key. Sugar in itself does not cause weight gain, but it's incredibly easy to overeat. It is much easier to eat 1,000 calories of highly processed food than it is to eat 1,000 calories of a highly nutritious meal. This is why, while sugary processed food does not directly equate to weight gain, it does influence it to an extent that is closely associated with rates of obesity. And it's not just weight gain. Processed Sugary processed food is associated with other serious health risks. In one study involving 105,000 people, they found a 10% increase in highly processed food was associated with higher rates of cardiovascular and coronary heart disease. In another study tracking over 20,000 people over 10 years, they found eating more than 4 servings of highly processed food a day was associated with a 62% increased chance of all-cause mortality, compared to those who ate less than 2 servings daily. So it's worth noting these were observational studies, so not the gold standards of studies, but it gives you an idea of how consistently eating high sugary food almost certainly leads to weight gain and unnecessary health conditions. The second factor of why sugar leads to weight gain so often is what is called mismatched hypothesis. As I explained earlier, when we were hunter-gatherers, food was hard to come by. Feast-famine was a frequent occurrence. We needed food for survival, so our food radar was constantly tuned to feed ourselves and our community. Fast forward to modern day, and whilst we still have the primal biological instincts, we now live in a world where there are more overweight and obese people globally than underweight. Food is abundant. We now live in what is called an obesogenic environment. Food is everywhere, and sugary food is placed strategically where you are passing quickly through, such as convenience stores at train station, or spending a long time in one place with little options, such as vending machines in your workplace. This environment creates what is known as mismatch hypothesis, which is traits that developed in one environment that was advantageous ends up being disadvantageous in another environment. Let's go back to the hunter-gatherer days. You are out foraging and you get lucky. You find honey. Being very energy dense, you go to town on it, consuming as much as possible. In this environment, finding that honey has led to your survival for that time period. Now, imagine you doing that today on a daily basis, on a weekly basis. Suddenly, those same actions are not so advantageous. Now, the actions that contributed to survival thousands of years ago now is a big contributor to conditions such as type 2 diabetes. So, we have foods specifically designed with the right formula of fat, salt and sugar to easily have you overly consume. In an environment where highly processed sugar-laden food is abundant with primal signals that have you continually drawn to food. This is why it is so important to have strategies around these types of food. Contrary to some ideas about eliminating these foods into your life completely, I disagree with this notion. This type of food is abundant. Fast food chains spend hundreds of millions of dollars enticing you. Trying to eliminate them completely will only create a taboo around them, prompting you to want even more. You have to put them in a different category to vegetables. It is extremely difficult to overeat vegetables, but highly processed sugary foods, that is easy. So as a result, aim not to eliminate sugary foods if it is something you enjoy eating. Instead, change your strategy around them. Have measures in place that you can enjoy this type of food without compromising a wider goal of nurturing health and maintaining a consistent weight. Some ways I have helped clients do this include buy singular items rather than packets. So buy one cookie or one croissant rather than a packet and really enjoy it. Enjoy the taste and recognize that in that moment you can have the pleasure, but with all pleasure it is time-based. Too much and the pleasure ends. Have a small piece of processed sugar you enjoy a day at a particular time. Let's say you have it at 11 a.m. when you have your coffee and one chocolate bar. By recognizing this one time each day you can enjoy this food, you are conditioning your brain to only have this food at that time of the day, rather than leaving it open to have at any time. Another one is only eat this food one day of the week. Seeing more these days as a cheat day, I think this is disingenuous because it implies you are stepping outside of the rules structure, whereas this forms part of the overall strategy you are living by. On this day, enjoy this food and recognize that it's just this day you eat this type of food. Another one is piggyback on healthy foods. So If you're eating a chocolate bar, only eat it after you have had 2 pieces of fruit, or you've had a lunch of salmon salad. You can enjoy the food, and you can decide after the healthy food that you don't want it anymore. The feeling has passed. These 4 strategies are effective ways of enjoying sugary foods whilst maintaining a healthy way of living. If you have other strategies, please write them down in the comments box below. Until the next video, I would love for you to subscribe so you can watch new videos of mine being released each week. And be sure to like this video so more people can get value from it. So see you in the next video.